Road Trips and Missing Persons by Adriana in the Snow. Chapter 17. "Aw, come on, kiddo," Patton beseeched, doing his absolute best not to laugh at the adorable discontent expression on Anxiety's face. "You murdered all of my cows," the boy grumbled. "All of them!" Patton did giggle then. "That's the game! You knew!" Anxiety insisted. "You knew the cemetery was there, didn't you? You're familiar with this highway. That's why you let me take the 150 cows, you cheater!" Patton didn't bother to deny it. "All's fair," he said instead. "You're the worst," Anxiety shot back. "Why don't we play a game I can win?" "Like what?" Patton asked, curious. He said, let's play a game where whoever's the youngest wins." Patton chuckled. "Well, I guess you got me beat there. Or a contest to see who has the straightest hair." "Sounds like a fun game, but we'd have to wash both of our hair just to be sure neither of us is cheating and has product in." There was a pause, and Patton glanced over at him. "Aw," he cooed, "do you secretly have curly hair too?" Anxiety groaned. "That's adorable!" "It's not," he grumbled, folding his arms over his chest. "It ruins my aesthetic." "Aw, stop being so grumpy, kiddo." "Maybe I wouldn't be if you hadn't murdered all of my cows." "I sure did kill them mood, ha." Anxiety groaned. "What did I ever do to deserve this?" "Carjack?" I know. Anxiety huffed. Patton smiled over at him and reached over to ruffle up his hair. "Ugh, stop! No!" "I want to see the curls," Patton teased as Anxiety batted him away. "You're lucky I don't have the goddamn knife." "Excuse me, was that a bad word, mister?" Anxiety groaned. "I will turn this car around," Patton threatened. "Oh, yeah," Anxiety said. "That's what would make you stop driving. Silly me. I'll try not to use the grown-up words." "See that you don't." Anxiety just shook his head and turned the radio up a bit to ignore him. "The cows have been cleared up," Anxiety noted. Patton hummed. "Do you want to get on the interstate again?" he asked. "It would be about 10 minutes faster, and I'm sure if anyone was tracking us, we lost them and all of that." "Sure," he agreed. "I don't see why not." Patton nodded and took the next turn back onto the familiar interstate. "So," Patton hedged once they were back on the main road, "we'll be there soon. What are your plans once we get there?" "Nothing in particular," he rushed to say when he saw the kid frowning. He was a secretive little thing. "Just what do you want me to do?" "Oh, he said, playing with the edges of his hoodie sleeve. "I don't know." He paused. "You can leave if you want." A smile flickered across Patton's face. "Not likely, kid." "Well, I'm not going to leave, at least until I make sure you're with someone." "Thanks," Anxiety said softly. "I'm with you all the way, Anxiety." "I still don't understand you at all." Patton just shrugged and smiled. "Also, you can call me V." "Ooh, a partial name," Patton said. "I'm moving up in your esteem." "I didn't say that," V snapped back. "My name might be Bob for all you know." "Right," Patton agreed. "Of course. Bob. My bad." That caused V to smile, even though he seemed to be fighting it. After a few moments, the smile faded, and he started playing with the strings on his hoodie. "You've got to get back to your family, though, eventually," he said. Patton shrugged, not mentioning the fact that they were literally driving towards his brother this very second. "They're all adults who can more than handle themselves. My brother's older than me, and the twins have him. You need me a bit more right now." V thought for a moment, still rubbing his fingers over the frayed edge of the hoodie string. "I have an older brother," he offered. "Oh?" Patton asked. "I tried to call him earlier, after my uncle," V said. "He didn't pick up." "Well, I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for that, just like with your uncle." V bit his lip. "I don't know if," he said, "if he'd be on my side in this or not." "What do you mean?" V looked out the window. "Our mom's the one who killed my dad," he said softly. "Oh, honey," Patton said softly. "I'm so sorry." "So, I don't know if my brother would side with her or not. I don't want to think he'd hand me over to her if I went to him, but..." Poor kiddo, Patton thought. He wished he could say with certainty that his brother wouldn't do something like that, but Patton didn't know enough about him to know for certain. He hoped not. "I'll help you figure it all out," Patton promised. "I'll make sure you don't have to go with your mom." Vi snorted. "I don't know what you can do, but thanks for the sentiment." "Oh," Patton said, "I think I could do a thing or two." "Sorry," Vi said dryly, "but your reaction to a carjacking was to get me ice cream." Patton laughed lightly. "Good point." "I really don't want to go with my mom, but I don't think cops would listen to me," Vi said. "She's technically my mom, even though I've never even spent the night at her house. Does that make her my legal guardian now?" "If she's the one who killed your father, I doubt people would let you go with her." "You don't know Mom," Vi mumbled. "I'm sure no one would even think to try to arrest her for that, let alone convict her. Would they let my uncle be my guardian, even if she isn't arrested?" "They'd be willing to do that, I'm sure, especially since you're already 15. Anyone would listen to your opinion on where you live." Vi looked at least a bit relieved at that. "So you like your uncle, then?" Patton asked. "He's great," Vi said. "He lived with us when I was really little. He always made me eat my vegetables and helps me out when I'm anxious. He's a psychiatrist, so he knows his stuff." "I have a friend whose brother is a psychiatrist," Patton said. "I've never met him, but Logan sends people to him when they need mental health care. It's a big help for a lot of them." "Yeah," Vi agreed. "It wouldn't be too bad living with him, I guess." "Well, I'll make sure you end up with him and not your mom, okay?" "Sure," Vi replied. Patton shot him a half smile, and they continued driving for a few minutes before he exited the interstate. "We're almost there," he told Vi. Vi bit his lip. "I hope this wasn't a stupid idea," he said. "Oh, I'm sure it's fine," Patton said. He flipped a switch on near his steering wheel that would open the gate for them a few seconds before said gate came into view. He drove up the driveway and chose to park in front of the factory instead of trying to park in the underground parking garage, which would certainly freak Vi out. "Just looks like a creepy abandoned factory," Vi commented, eyeing the old concrete building with its boarded-over windows. "It's almost too perfectly abandoned," he said, eyes narrowed. "Smart boy." "Ready?" Patton asked. Vi still looked nervous, but he nodded determinedly after a moment and exited the car. Patton followed him. He let Vi lead the way up the gravel path to the entrance of the building. He studied the door for a couple of minutes and then pushed it slowly open. Patton was sure at this point that someone downstairs had probably noticed them and would come up to greet them soon. Vi was looking around himself with suspicious eyes. "Okay," he said. "What do we do now?" "Probably just wait and see if anyone comes to meet us," Patton said. Vi started poking around a bit. "It's pretty clean for an abandoned factory," he said. "Mm-hmm," Patton replied. He considered a couple of panels near the door, and Patton observed him, curious about what he'd do. He made a startled noise when one of the panels came off. "Oops," he said. He peered into the hole he'd just made. "Well, that's not good. Whoever put that camera there is probably not going to be happy with me." Patton had to bite his lip to keep from laughing. The person who put the camera there would not. Vi set the broken panel back against the wall. It hung off of it awkwardly. "At least we know there really is someone here, and it's not just an abandoned factory." "That is good," Patton agreed. Just then there was a soft ding, which Patton identified as the hidden elevator the room over. Vi's head shot up to look in the direction of the sound, and the boy shuffled closer to Patton. Logan himself rounded the corner after a moment and looked at them with his lips pursed and looking especially cross. "How is it," he asked, "that you always do exactly what I need you to do in the most irritating and inconvenient way possible?"